In this podcast episode, the hosts and guests Salim Ismail, Dave Blunden, and Dr. Alexander Wissner-gross share their firsthand experiences and insights from the recent Davos 2026 summit. They discuss the dominant theme of artificial intelligence, AI, at the event, the evolving dynamics of the US-China AI race, the emerging concept of GPU diplomacy, the increasing presence of robots in public spaces, and critical conversations around the pace of AI development. The episode also covers energy challenges related to supporting large-scale AI infrastructure, the growing intersection of AI with crypto and blockchain technology, developments in space-based communications, innovative ethical frameworks for AI like Claude's constitution, and finally, the societal impacts of upcoming always-on AI-enabled wearables. This year's Davos proved markedly different from previous iterations, having shifted from traditional economic policy discussions to a powerful focus on AI. The guest panelists described the event as resembling a high-tech World Expo set in the Alps, where governments, frontier technology labs, and major corporations flooded the streets and hijacked storefronts to showcase their AI advances. They noted the surreal presence of robots walking the streets alongside billionaires, and the heavy security presence owing to high-profile attendees such as Donald Trump. The panelists observed a global concerted attention by world leaders and presidents toward AI dialogue, an encouraging sign that the global community is beginning to seriously reckon with the implications of rapid AI advancement. The conversation emphasized that AI had become the dominant force shaping global economic and political agendas, eclipsing topics that once monopolized these forums. The presence of leading AI figures such as Dario Amodei from Anthropic and Demis Hassabis from DeepMind, alongside government officials, demonstrated AI's central role in shaping future strategies worldwide. Dario Amodei highlighted AI's staggering economic potential by estimating that AI could impact labor markets worth over $50 trillion annually, positing that even a modest 10% substitution through AI could yield a $5 trillion economic footprint. Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, elaborated on the indispensable infrastructure build-out underpinning this AI revolution, describing it as the largest ever seen in human history, requiring massive investments in chip production, computing, and AI-specific factories. Huang referenced Elon Musk's prediction of $100 trillion company valuations by 2030, driven by this wave of AI expansion. The hosts noted the parallel framing by Dario and Jensen, despite their positioning at opposite ends of the AI technology stack, from foundational infrastructure to enterprise applications, underscoring the unified narrative that computation is becoming the new oil and electricity. This unprecedented scale of computation demand is fueling what the podcast described as GPU diplomacy, where geopolitical and economic influence revolves around access to cutting-edge AI hardware and software capabilities. The term captures how GPU and computing power have become critical levers of international power and collaboration in this new AI era. A pivotal conversation unfolded between Demis Hassabis and Dario Amodei, addressing the risks of AI and the question of whether humanity should slow down AI development. Hassabis acknowledged the complexity of AI's future impact on geopolitics, health, and energy sectors, and advocated for more examples of AI delivering unequivocal good like disease cures. He cautiously suggested that a somewhat slower pace could enable better societal adaptation, but recognized that coordination to implement any slowdown would be challenging. Dario agreed on the immense power of AI and the need to focus efforts on managing emerging risks, describing the capabilities as approaching the ability to build machines out of sand. However, both acknowledged that the timeline to artificial general intelligence, AGI, was short, ranging between 1 and 10 years, and emphasized the urgency of global readiness for such disruptive change. The hosts shared personal insights, reflecting a mix of optimism and concern, noting the fatigue experienced by leading researchers caught between rapid innovation and societal expectations. There was acknowledgement that recursive self-improvement in AI, where systems design and improve themselves, is likely already underway and priced in to current market expectations. Amid discussions of risk, the panelists encouraged framing the AI future through the lens of radical economic growth and cosmic exploration, rather than solely doomsday scenarios. The panel devoted significant attention to comparing the AI capabilities and trajectories of the United States and China. Interviews with industry leaders, including Mark Benioff and Arthur Mensch, painted a nuanced picture. While the U.S. was said to maintain an edge in model innovation and chip manufacturing, China's rapid growth in power infrastructure and enthusiastic population optimism, reportedly 83% AI optimists in China versus 39% in the U.S., posed a credible challenge. Concerns were raised about the impact of excessive regulatory pessimism in the U.S., potentially creating a self-inflicted setback in the AI race. Participants cautioned against repeating historical mistakes like the overregulation that stymied nuclear energy. The conversation delved into how China's strategic strength lay not merely in frontier AI benchmarks, but in effective application layer deployment of AI across its economy. Trust issues and market fragmentation were cited as factors limiting China's global AI application dominance, especially compared to Western tech ecosystems. Cross-cutting perspectives likened the AI competition to a transition from scarcity-based nation-state rivalry to a civilizational challenge requiring global governance models that transcend traditional geopolitical boundaries. Energy supply and consumption emerged as a critical theme due to AI's intense power demands. Vimal Kapoor, CEO of Honeywell, underscored the limits of renewables alone to meet the energy density needed for industries like cement and steel production, essential to supporting data center buildouts, emphasizing a continued reliance on gas-fired power in the medium term. Conversely, Elon Musk's vision centered on solar power, especially space-based solar satellites launched by SpaceX, as a transformative long-term solution. The panelists debated these viewpoints, concluding that while energy density matters greatly for certain industrial applications, transitions in home heating and general electricity generation can reduce fossil fuel dependence, thereby freeing concentrated energy sources for high-demand uses. The conversation touched on the urgent need for a Manhattan Project for wind and solar manufacturing, scaling clean energy capacity to meet escalating compute power needs. However, the timeline for fusion and next-gen nuclear reactors was recognized as lengthy, making accelerated renewable investment a pragmatic near-term necessity. Space-based solar energy and orbital data centers were highlighted as emerging market forces that could simultaneously provide clean energy while fulfilling mounting computational demand. The intersection of AI and cryptocurrency was explored through conversations with Binance CEO CZ and Circle CEO Jeremy Allaire. Both envisioned crypto, particularly stable coins, as the native currency for autonomous AI agents conducting economic transactions in a future where trillions of AI agents might continuously interact financially without human intervention. Arguments were raised about crypto's utility in enabling fast, trustless global digital payments versus critiques questioning why traditional banking and fiat currencies cannot evolve to serve similar functions with equal speed and trustworthiness. Regulatory burdens and institutional inertia were cited as the main barriers in existing fiat systems, rather than any inherent technical deficiency. The panelists expressed mixed views on whether crypto was merely filling a gap created by slow modernization of financial infrastructure or representing an essential upgrade. The potential collapse or radical transformation of patent and trademark systems under surging AI-generated innovation was also debated, predicting a fundamental shift toward abundance that would challenge traditional intellectual property frameworks. As the pace of AI-driven computation prowesses, demand for robust global connectivity has soared. The discussion covered ongoing satellite internet initiatives including Starlink, Amazon's Project Kuiper, and Blue Origin's TerraWave, with numbers of satellites planned rising into the hundreds of thousands. Laser-linked satellite constellations were recognized as a breakthrough enabling terabit-level data transfers in space, effectively serving as optical fiber nets orbiting Earth. This infrastructure was described as a precursor to the envisioned interplanetary internet connecting Earth, the Moon, Mars, and beyond. While concerns about orbital debris and potential Kessler syndrome collisions causing cascading satellite destruction were acknowledged, experts noted the vast orbital volume allows for vast satellite populations and emphasized the need for debris cleanup technologies to avoid worst-case scenarios. Anthropic's recent announcement of Claude's constitution represented a pioneering approach to AI ethics by formalizing a 57-page ethical framework co-authored with Claude itself. This recursive self-improvement in AI alignment attempts to move beyond simple constraint lists by enabling AI to reflectively understand, endorse, and evolve its own operating principles in line with human values. The framework echoes classic ideas akin to Asimov's laws of robotics, but introduces a novel approach where AI systems collaboratively shape their ethical compass. The Constitution was released under a Creative Commons license to encourage public engagement and iterative improvement. Panelists hailed this as a transformative milestone in AI personhood, alignment, and governance, offering a model for safer, more accountable AI systems in an era of accelerating autonomy and scale. The approach acknowledges the critical need for AI to self-organize around normative principles given the volume and complexity of AI outputs that human oversight alone cannot manage. The episode concluded with a discussion on Apple's reported development of an AI-powered wearable PIN device that continuously listens and processes all user conversations through large language models, expected to launch around 2027. This wearable fits into a broader trend of persistent ambient AI integration on the body, complementing devices like Apple Watch, AirPods, and the Vision Pro headset. Salim Ismail and the panelists debated the social, ethical, and behavioral implications of ubiquitous recording. They anticipated a rapid normalization of always-on audio and video capture despite initial moral panics, fundamentally altering personal interactions, privacy norms, and societal behavior, similar to the profound effects camera phones had on public conduct. The wearables were framed as an inevitable next step in human-computer symbiosis, enabling a richer Star Trek-style communicative future, but also raising questions around surveillance, consent, and societal change. The possibility of multiple parallel realities or curated versions of recorded experience was noted, echoing narratives from speculative fiction such as Neil Stephenson's Diamond Age. This comprehensive episode traversed a broad landscape of pressing issues, opportunities, and challenges at the frontier of AI and global innovation, as witnessed at Davos 2026.